Okay, hello, welcome to this evening stream. It's nice to see that the chat's nice and busy, so that's good. Keep your questions coming in. Our mods are here to always answer your questions. This evening we're going to have a slightly more sort of relaxed, chilled out stream compared to the last few that we've had. So we're not going to necessarily be teaching anything specific or focusing on a particular subject. Instead, what we thought would be quite cool would be to sort of jump in and just start learning about sort of making games. So we're going to take a starter map for Capture the Flag, and we're going to sort of adapt and build our own rules. But what I thought would be really nice is if people could just give us suggestions, give us shout outs, what you might like to see from Crayta, and we'll do our best to try and work those things in. And then by the end, we should have a bit of a fun Capture the Flag game that we've built together here on the stream this evening. So I'm here with Adam, Maggie, and Sean. So if you guys want to say hello.
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 Cool. Okay, so we're all here currently in the hub. As always, if there are any issues with the sort of sound or video, do let us know in the chat, so we'll do our best to rectify those on the fly. Cool. Okay, so I guess the first thing we need to do is just get into a game to create. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our main menu, create, and look for our there it was, Team CTF starter map or starter game. Okay, I'm going to give this a name. Let's go for Capture in the Clouds. So we have a bit of a theme to run with, just to sort of give it a bit of a backbone. But as I said, if you guys have any suggestions, then do let us know. We'd love to get the sort of the chat going this evening. Good pick. Let's go for the dinosaur bones. Okay, and then once I'm in, what I'm going to be able to do from there is share this game with the other guys, and they can come in and join us. So you guys have got ideas of what you'd like to sort of build in this game?
Yeah, so I think this would definitely benefit from a few power-ups. So I'll build a little bit of a power-up system and then maybe take some suggestions for a couple more power-ups afterwards.
Yeah, and then I think Sean and Maggie, you guys are going to kind of do more of the environment stuff for us.
Yeah, we're gonna try and base it on Facing Worlds, the old classic.
No, classic. Yeah, I think someone said that in our Discord earlier. Didn't they? There's a bit of an idea, so that'd be quite cool. Okay, so Adam, Maggie, Sean. Okay, so there I can select my friends on Stadia, and then hit confirm here, and that's going to basically set up all the permissions and allow those guys now just sort of jump directly in. So we should any second now start seeing them arrive in our games.
Clouds.
Here we go. So who's this that's arrived first?
Hello.
Yep. Here we are, full squad. So I think here we have Maggie. Adam, is this you in the white?
No, this is Sean.
I'm in the orange.
And you're in the orange.
I'll squat.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, as I say, I think we're just going to have a bit of a free build, and we're just going to go around. If you guys want to just crack on doing the things that you want to do. The premise of what we're trying to do in this Capture the Flag is we're aware that we've shared a couple of Capture the Flag games already. So we thought what might be quite cool is to just mix it up a little bit. So this time we're going to go for sort of more of like a melee based thing. So rather than guns, we thought it might be cool to have kind of knocking characters around. And then that led into thinking, well, it'd be quite cool if we just sort of set up in the sky, and below us is like a layer of clouds, and we're knocking each other off platforms. So that's kind of where that idea came from. And then, as Adam mentioned, we're going to go for some sort of like cool power-ups and pickups and that sort of thing. Quit my drone. So for anyone who might be here for the first time, Crayta is a collaborative game development platform. We are coming exclusive to Stadia this summer. The idea is we kind of, as I say, we're all together here in this game building in real-time collaboration, which is a really, really, really cool way to build games. And the nice thing is it always kind of feels like you're playing a game as well. So in this sort of more basic mode, the the guys have all sort of jumped into their advanced mode drones here, which is where the mode I just went to, where you can do a lot more of the advanced functionality. But the sort of we have the basic mode as well, which is a really nice way of kind of keeping it fun and gamified. If someone come to see me with their drone. Cool. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll perhaps do a bit of basic mode work later on once the guys have kind of fleshed the level out a little bit more and kind of got the structure of it together. I'll run around and place some stuff. Having a quick look at the chat, see what people are saying. So definitely we heard feed the baby. We're having some feed the baby comments. So that's probably going to go down in like Crayta folklore history. We'll have to get it into like every game somehow. Jetpack power up. So I think there is a power up, like a jump modifier power up that you're going to do, Adam. Maybe there's some way of jetpacking that up. I don't know.
Sounds like an interesting challenge. I might attempt it.
Certainly sounds interesting. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to work on, I think in sort of is the hammer that we'd mentioned, so the sort of melee side of things. So let's have a look at what we've got here to play with. Tell you what, I'm going to do a little bit of kit bashing. So we have this quite nice big halberd, like a sort of medieval halberd. It's quite a fun one to work with. I think part of this game as well is going to be a bit more sort of cartoony, a bit more fun, a bit more exaggerated rather than anything too serious. So I think a nice big looking cartoon hammer would be quite a fun thing to do. What about a gun that shoots melee weapons?
I like that idea. That sounds good.
Just like an axe firing machine gun or something. Maybe we'll write that one down for another game another day.
Maybe we should manage expectations with the feature requests a bit.
No. I want to hear everything.
Well, yeah.
I want to hear everything. Okay, so what I can do here is actually create with the voxels a sort of voxel head, hammer head, so a big block like that. And then I can use my volume select and extract, and that'll actually extract this as a sort of usable entity, which is a nice way of being able to sort of craft and sculpt things by yourself in game, rather than relying on the meshes. So I can take this halberd, let's call this hammerhead, and I'm just going to go to my voxel meshes here and just rename this voxel mesh. So by extracting this, I've actually ended up with a sort of entity in my library, and that's something that I can use as many times as I want, which is quite a nice way of, again, just building up a little library of things. Call that hammerhead. It's always important to keep your library nice and tidy. Okay, so let's position this now, and we can use our guidelines. As we can see here, we have these sort of center point guidelines that are coming off this, so we can sort of line it up quite nicely with the halberd. Something like that. Oh, actually, it's not sitting in the center. I think I know why. So yeah, because of where I extracted this from, that's not quite put it in the center, but that's fine. I can visually do that. Move that down a bit. Cool. Okay, so there's my kind of large cartoon looking hammer. We'll just rename this hammer as well. Cool. Okay, what are you guys up to? I might have a quick fly around, see what you're doing. So who's this doing the levels? It's you, Sean.
I'm measuring the jump distance.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah. So do you want to talk to us a little bit about how you're using basic mode with your kind of level design as well there?
I'm stuck now, but so it's really useful for the drone. You can get into all the advanced bits, so you can see I'm flicking around between them quite quickly. And then it's really useful just to immediately switch to your character, and you can see how a level sort of feels from a normal player perspective. So, like in this case, we're checking out the jump heights and see how far you can get, rather than trying to guess and then press F5 to preview. You can just jump between drone and human pretty quickly. It's really useful for that.
Yeah, so I guess for you to say like checking jump distances, checking crawl spaces, or that sort of crouch spaces.
Or like getting a general sense of scale for their buildings and how your environment looks and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Normally, I guess you'd have to build your game. You'd have to sort of get all the files together and actually, bake all your lighting, do all that sort of long process before you get to see that. Whereas, yeah, the beauty here is you can kind of get that instant feedback on that straight away.
Yeah.
And that's not just, you could ask me and Adam and Maggie. We could come over and start checking out the area.
Everyone should do that.
Yeah. I mean, if we did want to preview as well, we can get to that really quickly. So we'll have a quick preview soon once we've got a little bit of gameplay together. It's worth reinforcing as well. So this was made from a sort of capture the flag starter game. So that's meant the game came with the flags, the spawn points, this game controller here. So that's something that comes with the scripts to sort of power the game. But all of this is completely editable. We've kind of received a copy of this to mess with. It's a really nice way of learning. So if you're not quite sure how the games come together or how Crayta works best with like hooking up events and things, there's a really nice way of learning is to actually just fire at one of these starter games and just start picking it to pieces, exploring all these different properties, really starting to craft the game as your own. So actually one thing I could do here while I'm looking is just extend the max play time to 5. So that's now made 5-minute rounds instead of 1-minute rounds. So really quick, simple little changes like that, and we can start to craft our own gameplay. Okay, right, back to the hammer. So one thing I did just do a second ago was I've added this sort of inventory item spec script, and this is just a script which allows me to define some parameters about this hammer, and this is actually hooks into our sort of built-in inventory. And I will say built-in inventory, I mean that's an inventory system that came with the starter map or the starter game, but there's no reason why you couldn't write your own. You could start from an empty slate and can kind of write all the logic yourself. There's not, this is just one way of doing it, and this is kind of the way that a lot of the starter games will use. And we have these packages in the community tab up here as well. So if I search for inventory, we can see here that this is a inventory package which is already installed because it came with the starter game. But you could have a completely different game you're working on and think, I want to use that inventory that a lot of the other games use. So it has this little Crayta symbol next to it, so we can see that that's one of the kind of built-in Crayta packages. Okay, so I can define that here. And just before we started, I noticed there was a bit of a question on our Discord. So if anyone does have questions when we're not streaming, then do make sure you head over to our Discord channel. If one of the mods could throw a link up now, that'd be great. Or you should see it on the screen every so often in the bottom corner. But from there, we do our best to answer as many questions as we can throughout the day, and it's just generally quite a fun place to hang out, share game ideas and that sort of stuff. But I saw one question earlier about how grips and animation might work, so we'll dive into that a little bit as we build this hammer. But the first thing we want to do is set which grip the player will use when they have this equipped. So we have a list here to pick from. So things like carry, you might have seen in the cooking game, they have their hands out straight, and that's like a sort of generic carry. Cleaver, knife, pistol, RPG. And then all those things allow you to call various actions. So fire, when you're in a rifle grip, will get the player to fire as if they're firing a rifle. In this case, we want to swing this melee weapon. So we'll go for the cleaver. That's quite a nice one. We can try the knife as well, see how it feels. Okay, so that's that. I think that's all we need for this hammer. So what we'll do now is we'll just create a new template, and we'll call this the blast hammer.
That's a good name.
It sounds powerful, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay, so now I've got this sort of instance template. I can delete this original one, and I can go to my list here, and I can see that I have my hammer now as an entity, or as a sort of templated up entity that I can place multiple instances of, or I can use it for things like attaching to the player. So if I go to my user template, we can explore a little bit more of the inventory that came built in with the starter game. So we have this inventory script here where we can define the max size. So this is like the hotbar that you'll see at the bottom of the game. So we want only one thing at a time really there. We can leave these other things, but you could have events hooked in for when an inventory is updated. You could get various bits of UI to appear perhaps, or things in the world might get affected. Really, that's kind of where the power comes in, and that's entirely up to you how you want to code that sort of thing. Could you code the hammer to cause a blast when it hits the enemy or ground?
Yes.
Yeah, so you could do. I think what I'm going to do for this is going to keep it to sort of hitting the enemies. But you could, I mean, we don't quite have the animations yet that would blast down to the ground. But you could almost have the logic as if it had hit the ground at very least. There's a lot you can do with that sort of thing. Defaults. Okay, so the default here we should just see is the gun. So again, this capture the flag starter game came with a rifle that you would have started with, but we're going to switch this out for our blast hammer. Okay, and because I've got that inventory item spec script attached to it, this script on this side should know how the player interacts with it, so where to hold it, how to hold it, and all that sort of stuff. Oh yeah, looking nice.
See, everyone's got suggestions for how the hammer should work. How should the map look? Help.
They just wanted the baby.
Who doesn't just want the baby?
Yeah, so that'd be a really nice thing. Is that if the chat's got any ideas for the sort of the map and how you want the map to look, then yeah, these guys are sort of waiting for your suggestions. So we'll do our best to kind of monitor it, but be exciting to see what
you
you
don't
come
have
up
the
with.
baby on a template.
Okay, so now we've got the hammer, and the hammer is kind of ready to have its logic written. We'll do that in a moment. One thing I might just help you guys with the environment is to throw some world settings in, and we'll try and get this sort of foggy look. So there's a whole list of things we can change. I might just drag this out slightly. There I should start to see better names. So again, one thing you can do with this IDE is you can start to close tabs and expand things to really fit what you're trying to do. So I can close that library that was above my head, and because we don't need that at the minute, and I can expand this one out to get a slightly more room to work with. Okay, so first thing I want to do is we can maybe change the time of day that we start at. So all we need to do is just change the sort of hours, minutes, and seconds here. We can just drag this round to get an idea. So that's going to go super dark. Looks really cool with the drone trails actually. But we don't want it to be too dark. So maybe if we stick to sort of, yeah, about that sort of time, slightly late evening. We could change the direction of the sun, so we could actually move the sun around in the sky just by changing this, and that'll obviously change the shadows that we see in the world in real time, so we get an idea of how the scene looks kind of with the shadows and stuff without having to rebake lighting and spend time doing all that sort of stuff. It's just all happening in real time, and that's in real time for every client. So all these guys who are building this game with me are actually seeing all of these changes as I'm making them. If they didn't want to, that's fine. They can just hit this checkbox at the top here. So this editor time of day preset override. That's a nice short name for that one. And what that'll do is it'll mean that my particular client doesn't receive those changes, and it just allows people to keep working while someone's perhaps fiddling with night settings. Or if you're working in a game which is set at night and it's super dark, but obviously while you're building you don't want it to be dark, you can just check that box and it will just mean that all of your settings are retained, but you don't necessarily have to work in an environment where you can't see. Okay.
Just one for Sean and Maggie, if they're making the environment, there's been suggestions for maybe a jungle temple, I think.
Ooh. Yeah, could put that in.
Could look quite cool.
Go jungle temple one side and then maybe
One side, yeah.
something else on the other side. Feel free to explore the community tab as well. We've got a few things in there. I think Adam, you've got an idea of some good ones. It's like the There's some Gothic towers and
Ooh,
stuff.
yeah. Yeah, if you search Gothic in the community tab, then you'll see it's like Gothic Tower or something, which looks really good. Gothic Wizard Tower looks cool.
Oh,
Okay.
there's loads of stuff in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't go too mad because it's a kind of
Uh-oh.
license to go crazy. But yeah, so one thing I can do here is I can override how the fog looks. Oh, there we go. So that's probably got super foggy for you guys just now. Turn
It
back,
has.
have a look. So, I mean, I will tweak this a bit, but we can see straight away that just by tweaking a couple of values, we've got this sort of foggy setting, which kind of looks like we're up in the sky, up in the clouds. Oh, I just thought one thing that might be cool for you, Adam, if you have time, would be some sort of like some motion around us. So things like we could have moving platforms, perhaps, but then we could have things that are like flying past overhead really quick, like I don't know, like flying cars and stuff, just to kind of really reinforce that up in the sky kind of thing, or I don't know, something to think about.
We've done a cool effect before where stuff is rushing past you, like from below, so it looks like you're constantly falling.
Yeah,
and that could be quite a cool effect here.
That might be quite a nice one to do for sure.
Yeah, I'll try and remember that for a bit when I finish the power up logic.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just drop the fall off down. Oh, that looks nice. I can just see your tower kind of in the back. So is this one of the community ones, is it?
Yeah, this is a wizard tower.
Cool.
Ruined. Looks quite nice.
Yeah, and I guess this is a nice sort of example of being able to extract the voxels and just be able to sort of use them however you like. So we've got a nice blend here of sort of medieval stone and ivy and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, that's looking pretty cool. So is that where the flag's going to live, I guess?
Yeah, a little on the top. That's pretty good for a flag, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
That's where they like to go.
If I were a flag, I would like to be on the tower.
As long as we can get up to it.
Oh, Sean, it looks like you may have just taken the main voxel mesh of that rather than the whole template. Was that the intention?
That was not the intention.
Okay, let me have
Did
a
not
look.
see anything.
Did you just delete it when I came to look?
No. Yes.
Where have you?
There it is. See, look, it was the right tower.
There we go. Cool. And I guess this is another nice example, actually, of being able to blend the meshes with the voxels. So here we've got this kind of platform here that we can see is all voxel sort of medieval stone, whereas this sort of tower that's up at the top is actually one of our meshes. But being able to sort of seamlessly blend between them is a really nice way of making some sort of really intricate and quite cool looking designs. Okay, so we've got these 3 lanes. Maybe we could get like another tier. So where we've got this one that goes down, maybe like a couple of higher paths as well. Might look quite nice.
Yeah.
Just to give it a bit more topology. So cool. Yeah, and it'd be nice maybe if we had like quite a bit of space behind the towers where the players spawn. So it's kind of spawn then flag.
I got you.
Just to kind of give you the team a chance to steal it. Okay, right. I'm going to return. So now I've got this fog in. But one thing I didn't do is change the color. So we can also change the color of the fog. So we could go for some highly vibrant pinks maybe, but something, I guess it would be quite grey, wouldn't it, up in the clouds? Something like that, maybe. Slightly sort of dirtier looking white. Okay. Right, that's enough of that. So, to get the hammer to work, what I'm actually, or what I need to do is, I'm going to add a script to the player. So this is where we're going to catch our button presses and actually then get the player to do certain things. So the hammer's ready, it's got its grip, we know how the game's going to handle that. So here in our player template, I notice there's a couple of things like a name tag up here. This is a sort of a head crit shot, which I think is only specific to the gun, but I'm going to leave it there for now, just in case. So what I'll do is I'll create a script folder. We'll call this hammer logic. Okay, so a script folder is just a nice way of organizing your world tree. So it doesn't actually exist as an entity in the world. It's not got any sort of physical representation, but instead it just gives us a place to sort of attach scripts to underneath our sort of main player entity here. So let's add a new script. And we'll call this hammer logic script. Okay, hopefully that can be seen. So again, for anyone who's seeing this for the first time, you'll notice that I've not had to go to a separate editor. I've not had to go to any sort of external source to start doing any coding. All of the code is made in Crayta. We've actually got quite a nice, neat code editor that we've made built in that extends the collaboration even to this point. So Adam, I don't know if you want to come and just jump into the hammer logic script quickly with me.
Sure. Hello.
Hello. Cool.
What are we doing?
So what do I need? I need a on button pressed that kind of fires kind of an action to swing. So if you wanted to have a look at doing that, and I can have a look at doing the process swing stuff.
Okay. What's it going to be? The primary button?
Yeah, so just left click or right trigger, yeah, or whatever the players have bound to. So yeah, you can see here that we're actually coding together in real time in the same script, which is a really, really nice way of getting stuff together quite quickly. With the button presses, so one thing that is quite nice here is we've assigned, we can assign various actions essentially to a button press. So instead of saying here, we're not specifically catching like, as I say, like right trigger or left click, we're actually just catching the primary action. And what that means is that players can bind that primary action to whatever they'd like, obviously within some reason, but it just means that the game creators don't have to kind of fix how it works. We just say, okay, when the primary action is pressed, let's do this thing, and then the players can kind of have whichever input method into that they like, which is quite nice.
I've just added you a cooldown to the swing as well, which you'll notice down here. So you have to wait 1 second between the swings, but I made that a property so you can change it to whatever you want.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So we mentioned the properties earlier, and again, we can see down here that these health swing cooldown time has appeared. I guess health is just the default one that we started with, which we don't need that. We can remove that. But yeah, swing cooldown time is now a property here that we can adjust. So that's a nice way that you can get people to start using your templates, even if they don't know how to code or do any sort of scripting. They can take this hammer and think, right, well, I wanted that to have a 5-second cooldown. So all they need to do at that point is just change that swing cooldown time property to 5 seconds. And then it's just a really nice, again, really nice way of sort of onboarding people. It sort of pushes that collaborative editor feel even more. You kind of got your advanced players who are doing a lot of scripting and advanced techniques, and your basic players who are kind of wanting to get into game development perhaps and wanting to build environments and start using these things. So the properties is a really nice kind of middle ground, which can go both ways to sort of help people, as well as the collaborative coding. So an advanced player, it's a really nice way to actually teach scripting to people. So you could have several people who want to learn how to do some Lua scripting, could be using this tool with sort of a guide or a mentor who's coding in real time and picking up mistakes that they've done perhaps, and just kind of working together without having to kind of go back and forth about which line you're on. You can see kind of in real time, which is, it's really nice. Okay, so what else do I need here for my properties? I wanted to have let's go for a hammer strength, and that's a number type, and for default let's just throw a number in there. Let's just go for 250, and we'll tweak that as we need to. So one way I'm going to get this to work, and again, kind of the beauty and power of Crayta is it's entirely up to you really how you start to build these things together. The way I'm going to do it is I'm just going to have a trigger box in front of the player, and then when you do a swing, it's going to kind of process anyone who's in that trigger box, and let's just blast them out the way. So that's just one way. It's quite a quick quite an easy way of doing it, but you could go into a lot more depth with things like ray casts and collision checks and all that sort of stuff. So we'll call hammer trigger, and this will be of a type entity. Okay, so we see a couple more things have appeared here. Okay, so how far did you get, Adam? Process swing.
I didn't actually write the process swing logic.
Cool.
Did you want me to?
No, that's okay. I was just checking to
Okay,
see how
cool.
much you'd done. So, because actually what we want to do here is play the action. So as we mentioned, we've got this player, when they equip this hammer, they'll be in a specific grip. And from there, we can start to play some actions. So what we want to do is self get entity. So this is going to get our player entity. Play action. Type action. Okay, and we can see here that the API is telling us a couple of ways which we can call this. So we pass a string to it, and we can also pass a table of properties which will kind of run with this. So let's go for melee. Okay, and then just above this, let's define local params. Okay, and then we want to fill that table out in a moment, but we'll just pass that in here. Okay, cool. So what do we want to do here? We want to do param dot. I can't remember that off the top of my head. What we can do, if you're like me and you forget these things, is we can look to the community tab for examples. So if I just bring my library back up, go to the community, I can search for melee, and we can see that there's a melee weapon actually already in the community. So let's just install this. It's letting me know that my inventory package is much newer than the one that this was written with, so we can assume that this melee weapon is quite old. But instead, let's just keep the version of the inventory that we've got. And again, with gun package, let's keep the version we've got. And that's going to install a couple of scripts for us to just go and have a quick look at. Okay, axe swing script. I think there's a melee script. Melee weapon script. So we can just have a quick look at this one. We can see here, yeah, so here's a sort of an example of those params. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste across. And we can just start looking at what we've got here. So playback time, we can control the speed of the animation. I'm actually going to leave that as it is for now, because we kind of want that to remain as the sort of the default speed. And then we can hook in some events that will happen. So for some, you might have like an on complete. So when the animation finishes, you can check some logic to determine whether to play it again. So for example, the chopping in cooking, we can kind of keep going, or the reload on a weapon. If it's a shotgun, for example, you could play an animation of reload, check to see if you've filled the shotgun yet. And if you haven't, you play it again. If you have, you kill the animation. So you can kind of get some control there as to how the animation plays. In this case, we're going to use the melee impact built-in event. And what melee impact is basically at the point of the swing that the player would make contact with something. What do you want to do? And in this case, we're going to do a process swing check. So our function here. Okay, so Adam's written this here to do basically check for a cooldown. So if there is a cooldown, or if there isn't a cooldown, we'll do one, and then we'll sort of process the swing. And the cooldown itself basically just toggles this flag here for kind of true or false as to whether we're cooling down, and then runs a little schedule. So schedule's a nice way of being able to sort of multi-thread logic. So we can say, okay, here's a little bit of separate code to run. Run this, wait for however long we want to. Nice, I've noticed you called it hammer time. It's quite cool. As a
I think that was a community request.
So the cooldown is actually called hammer time. So nice. Okay, and then so it will wait for that amount of time in seconds, and then it will switch our cooldown back off. So just a nice quick way of having those sorts of things built in. Right, so assuming all that works, how are we looking on the level? Let's have a quick look. Oh wow, this looks great. Started to come together really nicely. Do you guys mind having a quick preview? And we'll just see if these hammers equip and if we can hit each other
Go for it.
with them.
Sure.
Yep. So we won't actually be able to do any damage, but we'll see if they swing and we'll see if all that's worked. So at any moment or any point, I can press the F5 key. And what that's going to do, that's just going to sort of strip down the editor, and that's going to chuck us
Oh my
into
god,
this
that is huge.
into this sort of preview mode. And we can see here that we can swing. Oh, I left it on the cleaver, and he's kind of doing he's chopping. It's like he's chopping
I've got the sound
food or
effects as
something.
well.
I want to go first person and watch what you guys doing it. Who puts his hand out? That's really funny.
Oh no.
Cool. Okay, yeah. So we can see that works, and it's looking quite bizarre. I like the size of the hammer. I think that kind of works quite nicely. So cool. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press F5 and we'll go back to the editor.
Wow.
We'll clean up a few things there. So first thing I want to do is go to my hammer template and just change that grip. And I think knife probably behaves a little bit more like a hammer than that was. We noticed the hammer was quite close to the camera. So what might look quite nice here is actually to change the logic here. So on our player, we've got these sort of built-in parameters here to play with. So we can change the speed multiplier, whether you can sprint, how high you jump, all these sorts of things. And a lot of these are actually bound to the API, so you could change these at runtime, which I believe is how Adam's probably going to do most of his power-ups.
That's what I'm doing right now.
That's what you're doing right now. Nice. Camera type here, so we can actually change to between an action cam, which is that sort of third person perspective, or an orbit cam, which then gives us a few more things to play with. So how sort of pitch the camera is. And an orbit cam, I guess, is a bit more like a traditional MMO, or maybe even like a few MOBAs would use that sort of perspective. So you kind of have a free reign of the camera spinning around the player. That's not to say you couldn't use your own cameras. So we have camera primitives that you can use. So for example, the cooking game, again, if you've seen that, you can kind of have a fixed camera up in the sky, almost like Overcooked does. So there's a few different ways that you can sort of control the game. Yeah, so I think for this one we're going to use the orbit cam because that should hopefully work quite nicely. So yeah, nice. Levels are starting to come together quite nicely, guys.
Good.
What might be quite cool actually is to split these tracks up a little bit. So there's some like platforming in there as well. So players have to jump over gaps. That might work quite nicely. So okay, I'm going to return to my player and add the trigger that we mentioned earlier. So we'll call this hammer trigger. Okay, because we don't have an actual character here to look at, we have to kind of eyeball it a little bit. But if this is set up at the center of the player, which I believe it is, we can kind of position that roughly there. That should work, and we'll change the size. I think 200 by 200, something like a nice big area. It's a nice big hammer, isn't it? So that should work quite well. Okay, so now we need to basically work on how detecting players inside that. So if we return to our hammer logic and our hammer logic script, which should still be up here. Okay, we set this hammer trigger here earlier. So now we can actually drag that down. So this script now has a reference to that trigger, and we can start to call various API functions off the back of that. So process swing is what we're going to work on now. Well, here's one for you, Adam. I've just noticed in the chat. Can you create teleport pads that spawn you at random places?
Yes.
So maybe you could have like little pads that you run into, and it like warps you to somewhere else on the map.
Definitely doable. I'm going to try and blast through this power up stuff first, and then I'll
We'll add it to the wish list.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so what we want to do here, let's probably just loop through all the players. There's various other ways, as I say, you could do this. This is just one approach, one sort of quick, easy way of doing this sort of thing. But I'm going to write a loop here, which is going to loop through all the users in the game. I don't think we're going to care too much about whether they're on your team. In fact, it might be quite funny to just be able to start bashing everybody. So let's go get world. So get world returns our sort of root world object, and the world has a load of API hooked into it that we can call on. So one of those is for each user. Okay, and we can see here, because of the API that comes in, that we need to provide a callback. So for every user in the game, let's fire this function against them. Okay, and this is our function. So what we want to do is we want to sort of check if this user has a player. So we have to think of it as the user is like the account. It's the kind of the human that's logged into the game, and the player template is the actual physical character. So, for example, if a player's been killed and they're currently spectating, then there will be a user that doesn't have a player. So we have to guard against those sort of things. We can't always assume that every user has a player, but we do know that every player has a user. So let's check here. We'll get the local player. So we'll actually get the sort of player entity. And that's just a simple API call, which is user get player. Okay, and we'll also record the player pos, so the position of the player at the time. So we can say user player and user player get position. Okay, and what that's doing there is it might look strange to a lot of people who haven't used Lua before, or sort of similar scripting languages, but it's kind of a way of building in a little if check. So it's only going to return me this part of it, the user player get position, if this first part is actually true. So if we've got a user player, then give me the user player's position. Right, and now we can write a sort of a normal-ish if statement. So first thing we want to check is, was this player inside of our trigger? So self.properties hammer trigger. So this is our trigger entity that we've assigned at the side. And then we can tap into the API again here, and we can say is overlapping. And what we need to provide here is an entity to check, is this entity overlapping with our trigger? And we know at this point we've got this. We can do another quick check here actually, if user player. So only do this if the user had a player. Okay, so we know at this point inside of this if statement, we're kind of clear to just use that. Okay, so if they're overlapping, and what's probably worth checking is just double check that it hasn't, obviously that we're not checking ourselves and that sort of thing. Even though we can't really get in the trigger, it's just a peace of mind if anything. So we want to check that the user player is not equal to self get entity. So this script is actually on the player or on our player. So self get entity will return ourselves. Okay, so there we go. It's nice and straightforward. So check through all the players, and if they're in our trigger, then let's blast them away. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to use the API again and a launch function. So launch will apply a sort of impulse, like a vector, to them. So first thing we want to do is kind of work out which direction to blast them. And we can just do a simple bit of sort of vector maths at this point to make sure that we can kind of blast them. So if they were sort of to the right of the player, then they fly off in that direction. Okay, so let's say blast vector. And what that's going to be is that's going to be their position subtracting our position. So this might be getting quite complicated. I don't know how much sort of game knowledge a lot of people have, but there's a lot of these tricks that people will start to pick up and learn as sort of quite relatively straightforward game development tips and tricks. How are you guys getting on at the minute?
Good, good.
Pretty
All
good.
good. Yeah.
Just writing that teleporter now. The power-ups may or may not work. We'll find out when we press play, but moved on to the teleport.
Nice. Okay, that is. So we recorded this before. We said player pos minus self get entity get position. So our current position. Now we're going to multiply this vector by sort of a strength, and to make it sort of kind of even, we can normalize it first. That just returns as a normalized vector, which is kind of a unit vector. So again, these are all kind of relatively straightforward, but obviously quite useful game development tips and tricks. So don't worry too much if this is kind of a bit alien to you. Again, the beauty is this sort of template can be written and shared with you through the community tab. Then it's there for you to learn from as you wish. So what did I call my? So I've got hammer strength here. So we'll call this hammer strength. Okay, so we're going to take that vector, normalize it, and then multiply it by our strength, and then user player launch, and we can see here again from the API that a character, which is kind of a player entity, we can launch them with an impulse. So let's do a blast vector to them. Now, one thing we might want to do is that's going to send the players kind of directly across the floor, perhaps, and actually it'd be nice if they launched up in the air slightly. So we can lean on another property type here. We'll say hammer launch vector of type vector. Okay, so here again, this is now the property is showing me this this vector type, so it allows us to start doing things in vectors through properties, which is quite nice. So I'm just going to say simply 1 here, so that's going to give it a 1, and we'll make sure we multiply that vector by our strength as well. So add there, and we'll just simply add this vector to it. Okay, right, now assuming I've not done anything wrong there, that's quite a lot of live code. I'm going to assume that that's worked. So we had our process swing before. I've changed the camera type and I've changed it to a knife grip, so we should see a slightly nicer swing. When we get to the point of impact on the animation, it will automatically, I don't want to call that there, it will call this for us here, in which case it's going to go through every user in the world, regardless to what team they're on. As I say, it'd be kind of fun to just start smacking everybody, and then basically do some logic around whether the player is actually there, whether they're in the trigger box, and then work out a little vector to sort of bash them and launch them away from. So I think I'm ready for a quick preview again if you guys are happy. Oh wow, this is looking really nice. It's one of my favorite things I think on the stream is when I'm sort of in the code editor and then I drop back out and you guys have just advanced the level.
Yeah, Maggie's doing a proper good job.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Nice work. And I can see are these your pickups here, Adam? These sort of nice glass boxes. Yeah. Oh yeah, these are really nice. So we can even.
Should we just add another teleporter so that we can use those properly?
Yeah, can do. Yeah. So just kind of for anyone who's not seen the voxel system and things before, a lot of the voxels that we have in Crayta are actually quite dynamic and quite interesting. So we can see here we obviously have the a lot of this terrain here made out of voxels. So again, this medieval stone, as I'd mentioned. We even have things like this glass. So if you get nice and close, we see this transparent layer to the glass. And it, on the top, it's kind of got the different colours. So I think it was this stained glass, Adam.
Yeah, that one was the stained glass.
Yeah. So again, we get this sort of nice effect coming off the voxels, and you've not had to do anything to that special, have you? You've literally just placed those. Nope. Yeah.
Nice. Just out of the box.
Sweet. If I can make this.
Cool. Yeah, I'm happy with the 2 teleporters I've got. They should work.
Sweet. Is that these pads here?
Yeah.
Cool.
So if you go onto the bigger square pad, the one with the Crayta symbol on,
yeah,
that should teleport you to the smaller blue pad
gotcha.
on the other bridge.
Cool. Okay, cool. Oh, there's a bathtub over here. I won't ask questions.
What?
I must have missed that in the chat. Right, okay, I'm going to press F5. Superpower's gone.
Might need to move some of the spawn positions.
Yeah.
I fell off the world.
It's alright, you don't need to be on the world. Worlds are overrated.
Oh, my character looks like he's twisted a bit. I think that's probably a little bug that's crept in. But you should be able to whack me. See if you can.
Wait, I just got an energy boost. I can run faster. Right, is this you?
Yeah.
Boom. Oh, it does a tiny little.
It is a tiny little.
Yeah, I might need a bit more than that.
Okay, cool. Right, well, I'm going to jump back then quickly. So again, the beauty of Crayta is the iteration speed. So we can press F5, jump straight back into the editor. So it looks like it worked. It was kind of bumping the player, but the strength wasn't quite there. So if I wasn't a coder, if I hadn't written that script and I didn't know how it worked, but I wanted to adjust this, all I have to do now is go to my hammer logic, look at my hammer strength here. And what we're thinking, that was 250. So if I go up to like 1,000, make it 4 times harder. See if that works. Okay. And then I can just press play and we'll go back in and we'll test it with that sort of slight tweak. Okay. I noticed that nice effect when we spawned. I guess that was to do with you, something you've done, Adam.
Oh yeah, so one of the power-ups I give you is a shield, which shows that little fiery effect. Let's see if the teleporters work. Oh, they do.
We'll try.
So I actually turn on the shield for the first 2 seconds when you spawn as well.
Just thought of something I didn't do. Sorry, that's probably why we're glitching around a bit. I've left collision on the hammer.
I was like, have I done something wrong with the level?
No, sorry. So yeah, I need to turn collision off on the hammer because while the player's holding it, he's constantly colliding with it. So okay, cool. Sorry, yeah.
Something going on.
You carry on with what you're saying.
Yeah, so we give players like 2 seconds of invincibility with that shield effect, just so you can't be instantly spawn killed.
Nice.
Look at that teleport.
That's cool.
That is
There you go.
awesome.
Chat asks and we deliver. So if there are any more suggestions in chat for what we can add to the game, then do shout them out. We'll do our best to get them in within reason. So, okay. If I can...
Oh, no.
Right, I'm going to actually try and take a flag this time.
Oh, no.
it fell off. So we've got to try and get all the way
Maggie knocks me
around.
off.
We've got to get around the outside of this, have we?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think Maggie's going for the flag. Good.
Got it. Cool.
Oh, nice one.
Oh, no.
All right, what's in this
Of
power
course, you
up?
can't capture the flag unless the other flag's there, can you?
Yeah, I've got their flag, so someone needs to kill.
Nice
whoever got
teleport.
ours.
I've got the big jump. Oh, how do I get up here? There's.
Adam, I'm coming.
Oh
for
wait. Now you've got
No,
our
please
flag. So we basically traded flags. Okay, right.
Get out. Get off my tower.
you. Oh, I lost my superpowers.
Yes. My flag, my tower.
Where are you, Sean?
I'm going to get Adam.
Oh no!
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Oh, I
Yes!
just
Okay,
fell
there
off.
we go. Oh, what?
And then Maggie stole the flag,
Andy, I was up there, right there.
just waiting for me to fall off the map.
Oh, God, Adam's following me.
Wait, doesn't the teleporter work both ways?
Nope.
Ah!
No,
Psych.
so it goes from the big pad to the small pad, not back again.
Get out of
Rusty,
my
you got-
vase.
Leave.
Ah, there we go. I knocked her off. Right. Okay.
Oh, your flag was reset.
I can jump higher. Yeah, I just managed to knock Maggie off.
You gotta save you from Adam. Oh, Adam's got the flag now.
Oh no.
I'm gonna get him.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm going to try and perch up here. I was only coming in for a quick preview, but this is way too fun.
Oh,
No way, Sean. Yes.
Oh, I
Right.
was just up there. Right. Okay.
Maggie, you're on my team, right? Defend me. I'm coming back. No.
On your team.
Oh, I
There you
think
are.
so.
Oh, I
Wait.
just jumped straight off.
Yeah, look at the
Ross, how good
scoreboard,
you-
Maggie.
I just keep running to the temple.
Okay. Cool. Right. Well, I think we've previewed enough there. We'll
No.
We'll save the rest of
I was at the top of the
Victory.
tower.
We'll
was
save-
ripped from you.
we'll save the rest of the fun for later. So cool. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, hopefully people are starting to see how quickly we can throw these fun games together. So again, if you do have any suggestions in chat, I'd love to hear them. So do throw them out. We'll do our best to sort of get them in. So let's see what we've got here. Could you add a power up that gives you wings so you can fly for 20 seconds? Flight. That might be. I mean, it's doable.
You can have really big
guess.
jump.
Flight sounds difficult. I'm more willing to try Drew's suggestion of removing a part of the map on a button being pressed for like 30 seconds. So I'm thinking we could use that like a trap, so someone pulls a lever and it drops out part of the bridge.
Yeah, go for it. That'd be quite cool.
So I'm gonna give that a go.
Okay, I might make some jump pads. I think jump pads would be a pretty neat thing to have.
Jump pad's always good.
So, and they're fairly straightforward. So that's going to use a similar sort of launch function that we just made for the hammer. Cool. So look for the jump pad. I've got these nice sort of neon, crazy looking jump pads. So if I add, I'll just rename this jump pad. I'm going to add another trigger to this so we can sort of have a slightly bigger zone. So again, thinking back to the accessibility stream that we did on Friday, some players might struggle to hit specific meshes. So surrounding it with a sort of a trigger works really nicely. Okay, so that gives us a bit more volume to hit. Make it a bit wider actually. There we go. Cool. Let's turn the collision off on this because we don't want players to kind of get stuck on it. We just want them to run into it and then sort of throw them around. Let's call this jump trigger. Okay, and what we could do here at this point is add a script to the jump trigger and pass the event up to the jump pad if we want to. We could always just write all the logic on the script, on the trigger. So again, there's multiple ways to sort of approach this. One way I'm just going to show you, and this doesn't sort of strictly make sense because I could just write it on the trigger, but we have these built-in functions here, so you can just about see those on trigger enter and on trigger exit. Are things that we can either tap into through the API, through the coding, or we can call certain events on here. So let's just write a quick script up here on the jump pad. You'll notice that the jump pad doesn't have those because it's not a trigger. So again, this sort of properties area is contextual to the entity you've got selected. Okay, we'll call this jump pad script. Okay, so jump pad script. What we want this to do is launch players. So straightforward enough. Say launch player, and that will accept the player entity that's entered the trigger. Okay, let's set up a couple of properties. So we want to kind of have a strength and a vector, which is a nice way of being able to control that stuff through properties. So we'll say launch vector. Vector, and we can always define a default here as well. So we can say the default for this is a vector.new. I think just one up in the Z. And then we want a strength. So launch strength of type number. Now, one thing we can do again here, I'll just close this to give a bit more space, is we can define a few things that we might want players to be able to, who are using this script, from just purely through the properties. We might want to define what they can do here. So first thing is handy is a tooltip. So we can define a tooltip. This is the strength. It's quite straightforward. We could do allow floating point. That's false. So a floating point is basically a sort of a decimal placed value. So it either has to be a whole number or not. So in this case, it kind of makes sense that we just want people to enter a whole number, because we're kind of dealing in huge numbers. But plenty of cases you would want that decimal place. There's all sorts of stuff we can min, max. We've shown off in our masterclass Lua strip, so Lua stream. So if you are interested in the Lua side of things, and we haven't quite covered enough for your sort of taste today, then do make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we have plenty more of this stuff coming out. But kind of a couple of weeks ago, if you check back on the archives, you'll find our Lua masterclass where we covered a lot more in-depth stuff about how to code Lua stuff in Crayta. Okay, so player launch again. So I want to launch them by an impulse. So this is just going to be our self.properties launch vector times by the launch strength. Okay, so that's just going to hopefully throw the players around when they run into it, which is quite fun. So in order to call that function, so we've written that function, but nothing is actually going to trigger that to happen. So what we want to do is on our trigger, we can do this on trigger enter here. And then we can sort of specify an event to happen. So what we can do is just drag down the jump pad that it's attached to. That's going to pick up the jump pad script because that's the only script attached to it. And we can look for our functions, which here we have the launch player. Okay, and a couple of other things we can do here. So triggers can be set to be interactable. So for example, if you have a button that's quite small, you might want to put a trigger around it. So when players hit the E or X or whatever they've bound interacts to, they can interact with the trigger volume itself. That's a really nice accessible tip. Again, we learned about that on our accessibility stream on Friday. Players only is a really good one. Again, so we can have logic fire when anything enters this trigger. But in this case, we only really want it to work when a player enters. And that way we can guarantee that the other script is going to apply that launch function to a player and not kind of the hammer or anything else. So we just want to check players only. All right, so now we've got that. Let's just template that up so we can place some more around. Okay, so Maggie and Sean, you should find a launchpad template in the library to mess with.
Cool.
Yep.
Who is it that keeps changing my granite voxel area back to bricks and
Me,
stuff?
you've ruined my aesthetic charm.
I know you got aesthetic charm, but that's the part that gets destroyed, and you need to know which part it is.
Then that's not a very good trap, is it?
Now.
Well, not really, no. Okay, fine. Then do your aesthetic charm on the other side as well, where I've ruined it.
Yeah, fine.
Thank you. Collaboration.
Stick some launch pads down.
Yeah, I've just put a couple down, but
Ooh, I like some of the angled ones you got going.
yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm sort of interested to think how they might behave. We'll have to wait and see, but it might still just launch you up when you go into the trigger because it's not the direction it launches you isn't relative to the launch pad at the minute.
Okay.
But it could be, you could get the forward facing direction of the launch pad and work things out of that. But this way, it's kind of, again, it's just sort of slightly quicker, slightly easier. Okay, let's have a quick check in with the chat, see how we're getting on. Any more lanes we want to make, or are we just going to stick with these three, we think?
I think it's pretty good.
Three
Yeah,
works.
three's
Yeah. Cool. So how are we looking? Looks like the mods are on top of it. It's pretty good. Cool. But yeah, so what are you guys working on? What are you up to, Adam?
So I was just gonna, that thing we discussed at the start with having like scenery flying past in the background. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
gonna have things like rocks and trees rushing past, so it's like you're constantly falling through something.
Yep.
Wait.
That'd be quite cool. So what? They're just going to come past underneath?
Yeah, pretty much. So they'll be like flying up around the sides of the arena.
Going it's as if we're falling
through.
down. Okay, yeah, that might be quite a nice little effect.
Should work.
That's quite nice, yeah.
That'd be quite nice.
We'll see if it works.
I might have a flick through some post processors stuff. See if we can get a different look and feel. So another thing we mentioned before is how we can sort of change all the world settings. Another part of that is changing the kind of color grading and the actual sort of post-process shader effect that the game renders with. And again, that's just a change of a drop down here, which is a really nice quick thing to do. So Alien Planet kind of gives us a very, very different look straight away. Why don't we try something like Supercolor? It's like a little bit more wacky, kind of pulls out the greens and stuff. Noir, go for like a slightly more, I don't know, slightly more toned down, I guess. Unicorn's very pink. Maybe let's leave that one at neutral. Let's have a look at some post processes. Sketch. Ooh, Sketch is kind of cool.
That's pretty cool, actually.
That is pretty cool. That's working quite nicely. So just hide all the UI and have a quick look at what we've got here. Yeah, that's behaving quite well actually with all of the the lines and stuff. That works quite nicely. Might be a bit too much though for now. I don't know. I mean, I can imagine this really suiting some of the sort of slightly more artistic approached games, but this one might not do that. So let's try. I mean, cell shaded always looks really cool. But it's hard. It's hard to not find joy in the cell shaded one. So it really pulls out all the lines and stuff here. So we could leave that one on maybe.
Yeah, that's cool.
Film grain. So I'll explore a couple more, but maybe we'll stick it back to cell shaded.
There's a point in the chat that the flag should be something other than flags.
Oh, that's a very good point.
Is that possible? Changing them to something more medievally, maybe, or jungly?
Yeah, no, that should make sense.
Yeah,
I could have a look at that.
You just left it in 8-bit.
I'm just looking at 8-bit. Yeah, I always enjoy looking at the meshes. The meshes in 8-bit. It reminds me of like, you know, obviously really old, some really old like just yeah, I guess just old games and stuff. Just looks really neat. This gargoyle looks particularly cool in the 8-bit. But yeah, sorry, I'll leave you guys.
Thank you.
What about capture the skeleton?
Capture the skeleton. Let's have a look at cell shaded. Let's leave it on that. So cell shaded is quite cool. But yeah, so changing the flags should be quite straightforward. Let's make sure that's on there. I might just move this chair that's up here because I noticed when we played before I got a little bit stuck on that chair trying to get to the blue flag. I'm just going to clear a bit of a path. Okay, so we only have one template for what you actually pick up. So there should probably be the same thing on either side. I'm not sure we've got the time left to really dive into getting a couple of templates and stuff. So we could explore the library and have a look.
Music, Brad. You also choose music for this game.
Oh yes, yeah, good point. Get some music going for sure. Oh, Adam, I don't know if you need to, or you wanted to go and add your shield logic to the hammer. I haven't added that yet.
Oh yeah.
Check when you've got a shield.
Nice effect, but doesn't do anything.
Yeah, just make sure when it's active. Capture the coconut. That feels kind of... There is a jumbo coconut.
Wait, what about pineapple?
What?
Pineapple on this side.
Oh, what is going on with these trees floating around?
That's pretty cool.
Don't worry about that.
You should. Are they going to spin? You should get the trees to spin around as well, as if they're flying past, tumbling. That'd look really cool. Capture the crystal ball. Not very big. Also needs to be something that looks good when it's attached to your back, which is the thing.
So not a capture the blimp.
Not a capture the blimp. No, I think a blimp might be pushing the limits of what a player can carry. I mean, you could do it. You can certainly attach it, and run with it. If that's what your game requires, then that's fine. But capture the jumbo lemon. No. I think
common game mode.
Capture the single-seater sofa.
Capture the mock.
To the skull.
Capture the skull. That a skull might look really funny attached to your back as well.
You've got a dual skull you can have.
Capture the scarecrow.
Let's do that. Catch scarecrow.
And you got to carry your scarecrow pal on your back. Okay, let's go for that. So what we need to do here is switch out. So that's the sort of what we carry is that. Let's change this mesh here. I think this is how we do it. If not, we'll just have to dive into the code a bit. But change that to a scarecrow. Spin him round. There we go. Let's fly over here. Oh, yep, so you can see that that guy's changed. Okay. And then this asset, want that to also be a scarecrow. Okay, right. I'll be intrigued to see how well that attaches to the player. We might need to tweak it a little bit to get it to fit properly, but cool. Okay, right, you guys ready for another preview, you think? Oh, music. Almost forgot about the music.
Yes, music.
Oh, yes.
So
Good point.
a big part of the sort of library, again, there's all sorts of sounds and things to pick from here. A lot of the sounds that will kind of be built in with the starter game that we made this from. But let's search for tags here. So we want to filter this by music. Okay, so that's going to filter out a lot of the sound effects and just give us the music itself. What are we thinking? Desert battle?
Ooh.
Sounds exciting.
Turn this up a little bit. Epic fantasy. I feel like this is all sorts of epic.
Wow, I've done something wrong.
Oh wow!
Look at the middle of the world.
An infinite stream of
It's
just
like
everything.
they looks like big broccoli or something. Yeah, I
That
think
was not the intention there. Hang on.
Every small child's worst nightmare.
Pretty cool though.
Okay, what are people's thoughts on the music? I think epic fantasy castle explore is kind of a good one. Epic adventure action music. Now, if there's ever a track that described this game, I think that's it. So what we should be able to do is just drop that in the game here, and we get this sort of specific sound sort of entity here with these various ranges. But what we can do is go down here and just uncheck 3D. And that should then just play it, uncheck ranges as well, and that should just kind of play it as a flat sound across the map. You can also assign some sounds to various to properties, to scripts, so you could have different tracks playing at different times. Lobby, results, all that sort of stuff. You could play different sounds. Again, just a nice quick way. I think that should work. It's just to drag the sound in, turn off the range, and then that should be something everybody hears. Okay, I think we're almost ready to wrap this up. So I think we're probably ready to have a quick play test. So if anyone from the studio is watching and you're kind of interested in jumping in to play with us, that'd be really cool. If you want to get yourselves into the hub and ready, we'll perhaps have a little play soon. Last chance to get any sort of last minute requests in, if something we can build in the next sort of 3 or 4 minutes. If only the broccoli had cheese. Well, we do have a cheese voxel. We
I
do
didn't think that was the sort of last minute request we were going for, but okay.
We do have this rather delicious looking cheese voxel. So if that doesn't inspire everyone in the chat to sort of build cheese related games, I don't know what will.
Okay, letting a few people know to join in now, Russ, so we might get a couple more.
Okay, well, what I was going to do is probably publish it from here, and then we can play on the thing.
I see.
In fact, no, if you've already shared it, that's fine. We will get people in. So people should start arriving to join us any minute. Then we'll have a quick playthrough, and then we'll probably wrap this up. So if you do have any questions, then do make sure you get those in now, and the mods will do their best to answer them. If you've had a question and we've kind of gone past it, it seems like it's been quite a busy night in chat, which is lovely to see, so that's great. But if anything that didn't get answered or anything you think of after the stream, then do make sure you join our Discord channel. As I say, we're there kind of Monday to Friday and kind of over the weekends where we can be, doing our best to answer any questions that you have. So if you should see the sort of Discord link coming up every so often in the corner. So make sure you go over there. It'd be really nice to. I think we're all. Maggie, you were saying we're almost at 1,000 members.
We are nearly. So
Yeah.
join us.
Yeah, so that'd be great if we can sort of get up to that 1,000 member mark. That'd be really cool. And we've just hit 700 subs on YouTube, which again is amazing. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed. If you haven't, then make sure you do. We've got a lot of content in the next, in the coming weeks, leading up to our summer launch. If you've enjoyed this sort of stream format, then do let us know. I know I've had a lot of fun just kind of building a game. So we're going to sort of run through various starter maps, starter games, just to give you an idea of the various things you can be looking to build. But as always, obviously, you can just go from an empty slate and build something completely from the ground up, from scratch.
I guess it supports drop in, so we could get started.
Yeah, I guess we could do. Yeah, they should join in. So, okay, if everyone's happy, let's go.
I'm excited to see what the giant broccoli do.
They fly.
Oh, yeah, see, we've got a couple more players in.
That's pretty cool. I do like the.
Well, yeah, it seems like
wow.
we're sort of superheroes flying through the sky with our giant hammers. Oh no, my pad didn't work.
Oh no!
Oh,
Almost everything went well.
Oh, we'll have to go check that out in a minute. I'm sure I've done something silly. Super heavy, can't be blasted. How did
Oh
it?
no, my lever
How
doesn't
did-
work.
Oh no! Right, quick, back to the editor. Let's fix those things. We assumed far too much. Okay, why didn't those pads work? It wouldn't be a live game development stream if everything worked first time.
No, of course
Oh wait, that's just a jump pad. That's not even one of my templates. That's why that didn't
Oh.
work. Oh, and so is that one. Wait, maybe I was just placing meshes instead of my
I used
templates.
a template launch pad. That's right, isn't it?
Should be, yeah, launch pad. Okay, I'll double check the logic, but let's put one here. What was your issue, Adam? Did you know?
Interacting with the levers didn't seem to work, but I don't know why.
You seem to have the lever script as on change event, but you don't have it on interact, or have you got interact now? I have to find
It's in the script.
Yes, it is.
Ah, I know my problem. My launch strength is 0. I didn't set a default, so let's just set a default to 500.
So just fling them out into the sea.
Yeah, 500 sounds like a big enough number. Okay, so because I've updated that default value, that should carry across to all of my instances. Unless that instance had kind of overwritten that value already, then it would retain the one that it had. Okay, I think I'm
Oh, wait
good.
a sec. I think I may have found the problem with my lever.
Yeah.
It doesn't. The bridge that it's trying to destroy has no script on it, so that's probably
That's-
not very helpful.
Generally
Ah.
not helpful, is it? No.
No, probably doesn't work anyway. But pretend we. getting
I have
close.
faith in you, Adam.
Thank you. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Cool.
ready when you are.
Okay, let's give that a quick
let's
spin.
go.
Okay, I like the way the camera's
Wow, we've got
facing,
loads of people.
like
Wow,
super.
yeah.
Oh, wow, 10 of us, nice and
Big
busy.
teams.
Okay, right. I think the way that you'd be able to tell, we didn't do much about the team stuff, but if they have a health bar above the head, they're going to be on the opposing team. I just watched like 5 people all smack each other off the thing. It was really funny. I think my jump pads might be a bit tame. Maybe 500 wasn't enough.
Oh, I like this giant animal skeleton. Oh no,
It was a last minute addition.
it's good. It's a nice little gateway.
Wow.
Oh wait, the scarecrow became a flag again. Never mind. We can always go and tweak that in a sec. We need to.
Does this work?
Okay. Is our flag here? No. Oh no. People are waiting for me. You're on my team probably. I
Is there actually a
apologize.
flag to capture somewhere?
There is a top. There's a scarecrow.
Get off my
You're
get
rescuing
off
the
my
scarecrow.
tower.
Are all the jump pads the same strength? Are they all
Yeah,
just,
I
like,
don't
tiny
think
little
I don't
blobs?
think it's very much, is it? Go fix that in a sec.
Get out.
Get off my tower. I'm just smacking everybody off this, no matter what team you're on.
So, who cares?
Oh. Right, where's their flag? Oh, I just ran off like a moron. Okay, our flag's
Is their
reset.
flag? Okay, I've got their flag. I've got their scarecrow.
Okay, go, go, go.
Oh, I got an energy boost pickup. Okay, I'm coming in.
High jump. Nice.
Where's our flag? Where's our flag?
Wait, which one is our home base?
The temple one. Wait, whose
No.
team are you on? You're not on. Oh no, you are on my team.
You're, I think you're the wizard tower.
Me? No, I'm on your team.
Oh, you're on my team? Oh, yeah,
Look
yeah.
at the scoreboard.
Yeah, yeah.
I just need our flag back now.
Maybe we should color coordinate the bases.
Yeah, that would have been... In
Who keeps
hindsight.
knocking me off the tower? Ugh.
Come on, please, someone get our flag back, and then we can score a point.
Run twice as fast. Okay, I'm going to go up their tower. Other team's flag
The
was
other team's
reset.
flag is set. Go on.
Go, Adam,
Yes.
go.
What? Stole our flag? No!
Go, Ryan, go!
Where is he?
He's on the middle.
Middle. Okay, dropping down.
Oh no! I've
I know.
fallen off. Wait, did both flags get reset there? Did we all fall off?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay. This is intense.
This is pretty... I quite like this sort of simple mechanic as well of just like having to like run up and just bash. This is really funny. With this comically massive hammers.
Come on. Go on, Adam. Oh, no, it's Ginny. Oh, we're on the same team.
Yeah. Wait, but we're supposed to be cap...
Bam.
Oh wait, have I gone the wrong way?
Okay,
Right,
I'm going to
knock
defend.
someone
I'm going to defend the scarecrow. All hail the scarecrow. Intruders!
Right,
Taking
I'm
our
hit.
scarecrow.
Okay, I'm going to guard the other guy on the right hand side.
Yep.
I'm going to pull
I've
the
got
lever.
the enemy scarecrow, so can you please rescue our scarecrow, temple people?
I'm trying to stop. It's just hammers everywhere. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, I need our scarecrow back. I'm back at our base.
I don't even know who's who.
Get out my base!
Oh, it's someone with a.
I'm not sure your lever's working still. But
Yeah, it doesn't work. I
yeah,
don't know why.
that's okay. I mean, that was a mid-game suggestion, so you can be forgiven for that. Whoa, I got really high.
Come on, someone rescue our flag.
It does look really epic with the way that these trees are just flying past.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
that's really cool.
Okay, I'm camping their spawn. Like honourable people do.
Yeah.
Okay. Can anyone see where their flag is?
Yeah, the guy was here a second ago.
Okay, but where is he now?
He's still at their base. I'm trying to knock him off, alright?
Super
I'm being
heavy.
attacked at our base. Boom!
Okay, I'll wait. If you knock them off,
Lighting up attackers.
if you knock them down to the ground, I'll get them.
Got like emergent gameplay tactics here.
Yeah.
I think. Is that an exploit? If you crouch, I don't think you get knocked as far.
Oh, probably because you just get knocked into the floor. Ah, but that's one way we could look. The way
Yes!
the swing, it looks like they hit the floor, so you could do like a ground pound. Hey, there we go. Mechanics are
Oh,
built.
sorry. Whoever was on our
Oh
team,
no!
I'm sorry, I
Maggie
just
stole
killed
our flag.
Out of my
No.
way!
you. They won.
Yay!
Oh, wait, that's a cool
Hooray.
camera.
Okay. Oh, that is it's a really nice camera angle. Right. Okay. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna up the jump pad boost, and then we'll go one more round.
Sounds good. I realised my shield thing didn't do anything, so shall I make the shield actually work?
Yeah, that'd be good.
So what is it? Your hammer script.
Hammer script, yeah. What's
Logic
it?
script.
Launch pad, there is.
Dot Oh, what's their script called?
Let's go for like 1500. I think if we jump 3 times higher than we just did, that'd be good. This might go crazy, but we'll see.
1 second. I'm just gonna make the power up script tell the hammer if the player has a shield or not.
Cool.
Okay,
I think
we should be good to go.
one thing I might just change, just have a look at slightly different. Outline would be cool.
Wow.
That might be a bit much, but okay. Let's just go back to default. I think it'd be nice to see the fog at the bottom. So okay, everyone ready?
Just
Oh,
yep.
I hit
Yeah.
play.
oh well,
Cool.
it's fine.
Yeah, you will
Okay.
be ready.
I really like that superhero pose start. It's always really cool.
Yeah, that's a much better jump pad now.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Teleporting.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, we're going to be wrapping this stream up in the next 5 minutes. Oh no. So if you do have any questions, as I said before, make sure you get them in. Make sure you sub to the channel, because it'd be great to sort of start building up this little community here. We've got all sorts planned, including more. I feel like we need to get this hammer into more games. This hammer's fun.
Yes.
Yes, got a nice jump. Oh, I'm going too fast to get up the stairs.
Okay, I've got springy legs.
Okay, everyone's
Is
just
anyone-
chasing Adam.
Get
Is our
out.
flag safe?
Oh,
Our flag is safe. Yes.
these two
Oh no!
These 2 skeletons hanging out in here looks really tragic.
Keep off my tower.
Okay. Time for the pickup. Oh, sorry, Maggie.
You just picked me up.
You weren't on my team last time. I just saw you and panicked.
Okay, someone there has our flag. I'm chasing them down, but they've got back to their tower. Trying to bash them.
Oh no, my superpowers.
Go! I managed to bash them onto like the roof of their tower, so they were defended for a bit.
I'm just having an epic fight with whoever's got the flag on their team.
Getting really crowded on this staircase.
It is a bit.
Okay, there's no scarecrow up here. Oh, sorry, Adam.
Oh, that's fine.
I just panic swung.
Is anyone defending our scarecrow?
I'm waiting for theirs to respawn if it drops. Although I can't see where.
I think we've got each other's flags. Just waiting for whoever's got the flags to fall into the abyss.
Oh, I can see their flag.
Okay.
I can see their flag. They're at the top of their tower.
Oh, wait, there's someone at the top of ours. Or is that our flag? Who
No,
is it?
this guy.
Oh.
This player
gone.
had a health bar, so it's definitely an enemy.
Ah, I see.
I don't know where they're hiding though.
Hey, we could have got the names to display on the health bars, couldn't we? That's one of the options, I think.
Yeah, I guess we could have done. There's a few things we could do. We could evolve this idea into all sorts.
Can
Don't let
someone
it go
come and
inside the
hit me?
temple.
Can someone hit me and see if my shield works? Someone hit me quick. I'm by the wizard tower. Oh no, it's gone.
As soon as I move away, the flag resets.
Oof. Who is that?
3, 1-1.
1-1, nice. Okay, 2 minutes left. Okay, I've got their flag.
Okay. Wait, what?
Oh no!
Go!
Oh, it's 1-1. You just said that, didn't you?
I
Russ?
did just say that, yeah.
But I ignored you.
Okay, where's our flag? Is it up here? Oh, someone's exploiting the crouch.
Oh, really?
I love
bet
how
it's
there's already
PQA.
exploits to this game and it's only like less than half an hour old.
There's already pro strats being written on like some wiki page somewhere.
Who is this?
Okay, a minute left, but oh wait, no, it's 2-1. I'm losing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They just scored. I had their flag and got knocked. Oh, just ran straight off. That was silly.
Okay, we've
Oh,
captured
no.
their flag.
It's 2-2 with M. Berger.
What? Someone knocked me onto the teleport pad. That was cool. Now I've got a speed boost.
Nice.
When you got the speed boost, it's hard to get up the spiral staircase because you're going so fast. 30 seconds left. Oh, it's 2-2.
Where's the flag?
No.
Close match. Get off.
They've
Get off our
got
tower.
their flag at the tower, so let's not drop ours. Nice, Adam.
Oh no.
Did you just fall off?
I did just
I,
fall.
I was I was spectating you, so that happened on the stream.
Literally no excuse for that. I just ran.
5 seconds. It's going to be a draw.
Oh, it's gonna be 2-2.
Oh, no.
Oh no!
Oh,
Whoa!
I think-
Oh, last minute.
Last
I think that
minute
was
Wow.
Robin with the last minute steal.
What do you think? One more? I'm having enough.
Oh,
That's
I've gone
quite
back.
long.
No,
Okay.
I think
Yeah,
that's
that's right.
I think that's a
Roll
good place to store that. So, brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much for helping everybody who just jumped in. Thank you very much, Adam, Sean, and Maggie for helping out. This has been really fun. This is kind of much cooler looking than I ever expected it would do. So, thank you for that.
our pleasure.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna leave you guys now. So, back in a mo. Okay, cool. So there we are. That was the sort of a game creation stream for making a capture the flag from our starter game. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, as I say, it'd be really nice to have you subscribe to the channel here. We've got all sorts planned coming out in the coming weeks up until our launch. As I mentioned before as well, if you have any questions and we didn't get a chance to answer them in this stream, or if you think of anything after this stream, then do join our Discord. If one of the mods could just throw some links into the chat now, that'd be great. But I know I had a lot of fun. That sort of stream makes me really excited to see what you guys are coming up with. So as I say, do join our Discord and start chucking out some game ideas. It'd be really nice to start pooling some ideas together in the community. So yeah, come join in. And yeah, I had fun. We'll be back on Friday with another starter map. On Friday, we're going to be using our survival starter map and essentially building our own sort of battle royale game, which should be really exciting and really fun. So again, if you want to come and join in on that, make sure you subscribe here and set up your reminders for when that will be. But in the meantime, we'll see you in the next stream.